Good morning, authors. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's really good to have you here. So we are going to start in just a moment. I just want to make sure that, excuse me, everybody can hear us. That we've got audio. So if you can hear me, if you've got the audio coming through loud and clear, just give me a bit of a thumbs up, and we will make sure we'll get going in just a moment. All right, so just in the chat box, just give me an okay, or give me a yep, well, you can hear me. That'd be really great. Just want to make sure all the tech is working before we get going. I can see we've got a few attendees starting with us. So if you've got me, just give me an okay in the chat box. Let me know. I can see Doug's got me. Awesome, mate. So let's get cracking with the book outline. There's a couple of things that I want to go over today, and I particularly want this to be a Q&A session as well. So if you've got a question about a book, about your book and how to get started, what I want you to do is put a capital Q in the chat box with your question. And actually, if you've got any of those questions now, dive in and capital Q and what your question is, because I really want today to be an actual coaching session where I really do help you make the progress that you'd like to make so that you can get cracking becoming an author. So while we're waiting for more people to come on and while we're waiting for those questions to come through, I'm going to share my screen. So it's just going to go blank for just a minute before it comes up. I guess the reason I want to look at the reason that we're actually writing a book in the first place. And one of the really important reasons is that no matter what business you're in, if you're a service-based business, your job is to stand out in the crowd. Your job is to, to identify why you're different, identify who you help, and identify how you help people. Now, I think in the marketplace today, we've got a couple of challenges, and one of those major challenges is there's such a lot of noise out there. And as service-based businesses, what we're trying to do is we're trying to increase our visibility and increase our authority. So this is my visibility authority matrix, and I just want to go through it real quickly, because I guess on the vertical axis, what we've got is the visibility. Up here at the high end, we've got celebrity. Celebrities are extremely visible, and of course down here we've got our D-listers, if we can use that kind of film speak. So down here we've got really low visibility. Up here we've got really high visibility. Now, then there's the authority matrix, or the authority axis rather, this one here. So up at this end, at the high end, what we've got is someone who is just seen as a brilliant authority. And at the other end, we've got, a lot of people who are just very preachy. What that means is they don't have a lot of authority, and so people sort of feel a bit like you're just yak, 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 yak in the noise. You're not really necessarily giving any particular value. You're just, you're repeating other stuff, or you're very, you're not really dealing with knowledge or experience at this end. So here's a couple of zones. If you're not seen, but you're an authority, maybe you know a whole bunch about what you do. Maybe you are a service-based business and people say you're the best kept secret. You're probably sitting down here in this zone, the zone of invisibility. So you're the best kept secret in your industry. Or if you aren't visible at all and you're very preachy, about, this is how you do things, this is how it's got to be done. And so, well, that's just kind of awkward and a little bit irrelevant. people kind of look at you like, okay, yeah, all right, yeah, they have a point, but so what? Um, what we want to do is start to move up this celebrity scale, if you like. But if you go up the celebrity scale and you are very preachy about your content, then people just look at you like you're quite eccentric. And what we really want is to position ourselves as thought leaders. So we want to build on our authority. We want to identify what it is that we do and exactly who we help. And we want to increase our celebrity. So once you increase that sort of visibility and you really hone in on your message and who you help, then this is really where you are in the thought leader zone. And when you get that really, really right, now what we've got up here is this fantastic zone of micro celebrity. Now, when I say micro celebrity, what I mean is that you are really famous, but only to certain people. So when they think about your niche, when they think about the problem that you solve, they think of you. And that's what micro celebrity is all about. It's really cool when we can get that level of micro celebrity in our niche, because we're really helping the people that we want to help, and they know who we are. You know, it's really pretty cool. I think that probably one of the best ways to generate this micro celebrity and this thought leader status is to actually put your ideas into a book. But a book is not enough. You need to have a whole bunch of strategy around it. So today I promised you I would be looking at how to go from a book outline to actually creating business out of it. So let's have a look at that. The very first thing that we've got to do is we've got to make ourselves a book cover. Now, whenever I talk to people, a lot of people sort of have a book title, and a lot of times they think of it like, you know, they want to think of a really clever title. But I want to introduce you to the way to actually both identify your niche, identify the problem you solve, and really position yourself as a thought leader, quite simply by looking at the book. So here's a way to think of the book problem, or the book cover problem. Rather than a clever idea, and if you've thought about writing a book, you've probably thought about a clever idea. But the job of a book title is to get the attention of your niche. So if we think about the book title, it's going to sit in this sort of area. Its job is to get attention of your niche. And the subheading here is to really clearly identify who the market is. Now, let's think about this from the perspective. Now, for everyone who's on the line, what I'd like you to do is, into the chat box, I'd like you to put down, what's your niche? Who do you help? You know, is it trades, businesses? Is it strata managers? Is it doctors? Is it dentists? Is it who is it? Teachers, kids? Who do you help? So I want you to jot down in the chat box who you help, and we'll start working on some of these book titles. So way back in the 80s, there was this really cool scientific advertising model, and it was created, and it's called the AIDA model. And it was a really good model for understanding how to create an advertisement. Now, I sort of see your book as the book cover in particular as an advertisement. Now, Doug, I can see you've put in there, you know, you help people with student loan debt. And is that what your book would be about? Some strategies around that, I suspect. And that's a great topic. And if it's okay with you, I'll use that as an example when we're creating this book cover. Now, the scientific advertising principle, AIDA, is all about get attention. create interest, build desire, and give them a call to action. Tell them what to do next. The AIDA. It's kind of a cool idea because mostly mostly what we do is we put this clever idea, but it doesn't necessarily get attention. So what we're going to look at is, okay, how do we now get attention? So Doug, if I use, student loan, so let's say, and I know that you're saying it's one of the strategies, one of the things that your strategy does, or do you have a name for your strategy? Would you like to work on that? And I can do a little bit of work on that. But here's the thing. We need to get the attention with our headline. So if you're a student, okay, so infinite banking strategy. So let me just suggest that we use the example of reducing student loan debt, right? If we were to get the attention of students who need to reduce their loan using a better strategy, what cover title would actually get that, right? So what we need to do is, in this part, we need to really identify the frustrations or the problems in their language, right? So, without knowing a great deal about it, what I would suggest is something along the lines of, frustrated with your student debt. That would be something around that frustration with the student debt. Some sort of book title around that is really going to get the attention of your market. Now, it's not going to get the attention of middle managers in corporations, because they're not frustrated with their student loan debt. But if you're a student and you see this book cover, you're going to be like, damn, this guy or girl has just identified exactly what's in my head, right? That's the job of that, is to get attention. The job of that book title is to get them to actually pick up the book. Now, the subheading is all about creating interest. Now, the subhead here, I think actually it needs to identify the target market. Now, you might, the title of this may be significantly more clever than frustrated with your student debt. It might be reduce your student debt now, or reduce your debt, or something along that line, where people are saying, yeah, I'm wondering how to do that. The subhead needs to identify who your target market is. So it might be, how students, or no, how recent graduates, can reduce their debt to 0 in 5 years. Something really simple like that. Because what we want them to do is we want them to identify with this, and we want them to go, that's the problem. So here is the problem. This is your niche, and what the book's about, the niche, and the job of the cover is to make you turn over to the back. So I think everything about your cover needs to be identifying, getting attention, building interest, and creating a little bit of desire. Now, the back cover really is all about, so if we go over to the back cover now, on the back cover, we're going to really start to create the desire and what to do. Now, the desire is all about what's going to be in this book. What are they going to learn? They're going to learn this and this and this, and it's going to help them do that and that and that, and boom, boom, boom. And you want, like a little picture of you with your smiley face, and a little bit of information about how you help people. And I would also put, www. Website on there as well. So by designing our book covers around this scientific principle, attention, interest, desire, and action, what we're doing is we are really doing good advertising for your market, for your niche, and for your people. What they're going to do is they're going to see it. They're going to go, oh, this is the book for me. This is the solution. Now, why is that so important? Because when you are a thought leader, what happens is that if you can articulate the problem better than they can, and you demonstrate that you've got some strategies to help them out, they automatically look to you as the authority. They look and say, wow, that person has the answers. That person understands exactly what I'm talking about, and they have a clear answer. Having the book and being able to do that is really a matter of increasing your celebrity and increasing your visibility. Now, one of the things that a book really enables you to do is to actually do speaking gigs, to do interviews, to do all sorts of things. And to give you an example, on Friday, I did a keynote presentation to a group of industry people, 700 people in the auditorium. And of those 700 people, 90 people asked for a copy of my book. And those 90 people will get a copy of my book. Plus I, get to talk to them, about how I might be able to help them in their business and build their teams. So once you've got that book, it really becomes a phenomenal tool to be able to position yourself as that authority. So let me open up right now. I want to open up some questions. So for everyone who's on the line, now it's just a chance for me to coach you. How can I help you? What are the insights that you've just got out of that quick 15-minute teach? What are your insights around the visibility authority matrix? And what are your insights around how to outline your book simply by creating a cover that really speaks to your audience? So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to, in the inbox, just put capital I insights. What's coming to you there? What do you now know that you probably need to do next? And the other thing that I want you to put in there is, what are your questions? How can I help you? What are the roadblocks that you're seeing that you need a little bit of help with? And, if you like, I've got no problem just doing a little bit of work with you on helping you get your cover sorted out, your title sorted out. Because once you do this, it's really cool that your book really becomes quite simple to write. Now, if you've seen any of my videos, you'll know that there are a couple of problems that most people who are looking at writing books come across. And one of those problems is clarity. And when most people start talking about their books, when most people are actually, that was an unusual little shape I was just making there. I'm just attempting to make my bullseye model here. When most people talk to me about their books, here's what it feels like. When I ask about a book, most people kind of go, they tell me all about these things they're going to teach and the chapters and the topics. And to me, it feels like spaghetti head. To me, it feels like a lot of great ideas that don't actually hold together to make much sense. So if I think about what I really want a bullseye. I really want to know exactly at the center of your book, what will I be able to do once I've read your book? And Doug's put up, needs a back cover to the book because it's currently blank. And here's the thing. for you, Doug, my suggestion for you is that the bullseye of the book, your book, is what will people be able to do once they've read your book? What's the thing that people are able to do, the new skills, the new outcomes that they're able to do? Now, you'll probably notice, or you astute people will notice that whatever that is, it needs to be in part about solving the problems that we've identified on the cover of your book. So in terms of the back of the book, let's just add another page here. So to give you a bit of an idea, one of the authors that I was working with a little while ago is doing a book on cash flow, and I said to him, look, what is it that your clients actually say? And he said, well, they say business is hard, I've got no cash, and I've got no idea what to do about it. And I thought, well, if you made a book based around that, then you're really articulating the issues. And so, Doug, what I'd suggest for you is to really get to the bullseye. So the bullseye of this book, what they will be able to do once they've read this book, is they'll know exactly where to find cash in their business, so they're not always cash strapped, and business isn't hard. And when business isn't hard, you actually get some freedom. You're low stress, and you actually, you're doing some work that you find meaningful. Right? So what's the bullseye? What can they do at once they've read this book, and what are the outcomes of being able to do that? So I would say the back of the book really needs to be about creating desire. So I would actually encourage you to think like a reader. And once you've read this book, what will you now know how to do? And that's what the back of your book should be covering. And we also need to have a little bit of action in there. Not a lot. I think that we don't need to sell too much on the book. We need to know where they can take action if they would like to take action. So now that could just simply be a website. And they need to know probably a little bit about you. So, they might say, Brett is a so-and-so, Brett's an author and a business executive and coach and and with X amount of years experience. This bit here, it's all about earning the right. If you're going to put anything about yourself on the back, it's got to be so that it demonstrates that you're the one, you've earned the right to have this answer. And then your call to action, what you actually want them to do. Now, of course, they're going to read the book and there's going to be a lot more in there, but once we can grab their attention, once we can pique their interest, once we can build the desire to read the book and show them what to do next, now you've got an extremely effective book on your hands. Now, obviously, the content needs to line up. The way I do content is I use this Bullseye Model, and I say, right at the very core of your book, what is it that they'll be able to do? If it's cash flow, they'll be able to manage their cash. These will be the outcomes here. And, usually there's 3 pillars, 1, 2, and 3. And under each of those pillars, there's several chapters, so that could be, chapter. So if we said, in the case of a $1 Million Author Program, it's all about creating, it's all about publishing, and it's all about promoting. And so under each of those pillars, and of course at the middle, $1 Million Author Program is all about building a book, creating a book, and building a business around that book. Because most people don't sell many books off the cover. You know, even if you do, the return on those is not necessarily all that great. However, if you use the $1 Million Author system, you can actually generate an enormous amount of money through the book. And to give you an example, the keynote speech that I did last week, 700 people, 90 people have requested a copy of the book and requested to connect with me. So there'll be future speaking engagements that come out. There will be coaching programs, workshops that come out of those connection requests. And once they've seen you on stage for 45 minutes and they've really enjoyed your presentation, and that your presentation is aligned to the book, now the process of sales and conversion to your programs becomes so much easier. So I would expect out of that particular event that we could be generating a couple of $100,000 in business. So that's just out of one event and a whole bunch of people asking to get the book. Very few people can actually sell that many books to create a couple of $100,000 in revenue. So I'm a real believer in revenue through the book, income through the book, not from book sales. Now, of course, you can make some money from book sales as well, but here in Australia, a best-selling author sells 10 or maybe 20,000 copies. And if they're selling those through a publisher, typically what they're doing is they're not pulling more than about $5,000 out of that, which seems a ridiculously small amount of money for such a lot of work. I'm a much bigger fan of building your $1 million business around your book, particularly when you've got strategies like infinite banking strategy. Building a coaching program around that has been, you know, I could imagine would be incredibly lucrative as compared to simply just relying on book sales. All right, let's start to wrap up now. I want to get you guys on your way and on your day. What I'd really like to hear from you guys is, capital V, what was most valuable from the call today? You know, what did you find interesting, valuable? What helped you in moving you along a little bit? Really love to get your feedback on that. Now, I hope you guys, if you're not already in the $1 Million Author Book Club, the Facebook group, please do dive in there. We've got some regular stuff going on there. We've got regular insights, and we've got just building a really great community of people who are all writing books, wanting to make a great impact, and actually really helping each other out and really contributing. So, I'd encourage you to jump on into the Facebook group. And of course, if there's anything I can help you with in terms of either writing your book or building that book into a $1 million business, don't hesitate to hit me up. Send me a personal message, email me, or connect anyhow you can. I'll give you my direct email in the chat. So if you want any help, don't hesitate to actually drop me an email and see how I might be able to help you. So thanks very much for coming here today. Thanks very much for playing, Doug, particularly for doing a little bit of work with us. I really hope that that's helped you fill out the back of your book, and create a bit of desire to actually open up the book and really dive on in for your readers. And I hope that that's really been helpful for you today. Really appreciate you guys being here, and thanks again. Look out for our next session, which will be coming up in about a fortnight. So we'll be talking about different aspects of the group. So I can see, Doug, confirmation of your ideas. So really good. Obviously, you're thinking along those same lines, and and I hope that's really helped with your book cover and the back cover as well. I wish you guys every success with your books. Really love to connect with you either directly or via the Facebook group. And thanks again for being here this morning, Sydney time, this afternoon, US and UK time. Thanks.